There you have it, quite a mouthful there, and we expect great vibrancy. Right away now, let me take you to some of the highlights from the panel discussion that we had.
Your Excellency, sir, I'd like to start off with you to kick off our conversation this morning. What is your vision for Kenya's capital markets?
I believe the stock market has potential to help us do a couple of things. Number one, I believe the capital markets, and I've said this before, has the potential to help us raise development capital as government. Through the bond market, through listings of public owned companies, as has been said here by somebody, democratizing ownership, and by extension wealth, making sure that more people have a stake in public companies that are doing well. And therefore, and I had this conversation a few years ago with the management of Nairobi Stock Exchange, the NSE. I have come here to ring the bell, not for trading, but for Nairobi Stock Exchange, Capital Markets Authority, and all institutions around the capital markets, that it is time to unlock the potential that exists in this institution to drive the economy of our country.
Mr. Kitoni, I'd like to come to you now. The capital markets has had a dearth of listings over the last 13 years, and we'd like to find out where have the biggest challenges been and what would it take to ensure more private listings, let's say at least 5 over the next 12 months?
I would say two things. One is the process. We've had a serious challenge with the process, particularly through the privatization process and the onerous bureaucracy that entails before listing is done. And it is something that we have discussed numerously with the Cabinet Secretary designate, and it is something that I believe if the obstacles and the hurdles towards listing are addressed, then I'm sure we are going to see the listings come back again. I think the years 2002 to 2010 saw very many listings, and it saw a real lifting of these markets.
We've talked about measurable, so 12 months. So thank you, Chairman, for reminding us that you can do that in 12 months. And hopefully we will all be here to check that it has been done. Engineer Kamau, I'd like to come to you. Kenya has a Privatization Act, which was meant to spur listings by the government, which, as we all know, has not. Perhaps you can tell us what needs to be relooked at within the Privatization Act with a view to bring at least 5 public listings over the next 12 months?
I think first of all, we need to look at the objective of the privatization. And I think when the government came up with the Privatization Act, the objective was actually to raise additional money to be able to finance the budget and also create opportunities for Kenyans to own part of these businesses. Now, this law was enacted in 2005 and operationalized in 2008. But largely we can say, if you look at the reason and the objective for which this act was established, we have not been able to achieve this. And for a number of reasons. I think you need to appreciate that the law has a lot of bureaucracy. I was looking at the kind of steps that you need to go through to privatize a state corporation. It takes about 16 to 17 steps. And I think some of those steps would take maybe 3, 4, 5 months. So we need to look at the act and see which areas we need to remove. And in my view, possibly we may also need to look at broadly the whole framework for privatization.
Mr. Hook, I'd like to come to you now. KDC is mandated to play a catalytic role in Kenya's socio-economic development by providing long-term financing and other financial investment and advisory services as well. Is there a case to exempt KDC from the Privatization Act in order to bring quick transactions into the market?
KDC is a government-owned entity for development finance, so it's one of the strongest and the single DFI. Ideally, we are supposed to support the government in its priority development agenda in terms of mobilizing resources. Once resources are mobilized, we have both the support we give to enterprises, both on equity and debt. In terms of existing investments, we've got both equity and, equity both in private and private sectors. Some are mature to the extent that it requires divestiture in terms of recapitalizing and deploying more resources, liquid resources, to the economy. However, again, following up on what Engineer Kamawa said, we have to, when we invest, we don't require approval of the necessary agencies. But when we divest, again, because it's a sale of government asset, we have to go back to the privatization process to divest from mature investments. What then happens? When the process is not efficient enough, ultimately there is erosion of value in the process of the delay, that we don't realize the required resources in time for readiness to deploy to the requiring or needy sectors.
Mr. Chair, let me come to you now. Ken Invest has played a critical role in attracting investment, in positioning Kenya as an investment destination, but there are also several other government agencies that are seemingly playing a similar role. What needs to be done to, one, align, to ensure that there's one more clarified investor engagement, as well as to provide more clarity within that space?
Indeed, there are several agencies that are promoting investments, facilitating investors, but there is only one that is mandated by law, and that is Kenya Investment Authority. So it is our desire that we have all FDI register with Ken Invest, so that you're able to collate and collect data, which also would inform our state of investments. Currently, we don't know how many investors come in, because they come in through different channels. They come in through Ken Invest, they come in through other government agencies, they come in through private companies. Lawyers are also registering investors in this country. So we don't have sufficient data in terms of where they're investing, how much they're investing, how much employment comes in, how much foreign employees are there, Kenyan employees. So it's only if we collate these, get all the FDI to register with Ken Invest, if you could make it mandatory registration, either through law or directive, it would really help us move forward.
Quite a day, and we had some of the comments from some of the key stakeholders in the markets. Listen in.
First and foremost, to say that we're extremely overwhelmed by the visit by the head of state. He rang the bell today to open the market and also to really reposition the NSE as a key market or capital markets player, partnering with the government in helping them raise capital and helping reinvigorate the investment in Kenya. I think the messaging that came from the head of state is that the market is back, we're back to life, it's exciting. We are committing to work with the government. They see this as a public-private partnership, and really speaking to both the public and corporate sector to really look at the market to raise capital and inviting investors to also take advantage of this market to create wealth. I think the president is very clear about national savings and about use of local domestic resources to fund the government's agenda. So I think it's looking inwards. Let's optimize on what we can do as Kenyans in order to grow and develop our country, and also the quality of life, as the message came out.
Today we are very encouraged by the sentiments of the president, in particular his renewed push towards reviewing the privatization action and bringing straight corporations to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. It will allow Wanjiko to be able to own a part of these companies and to participate in the economic development of this country. I think we got very good examples of Equity Bank, building society that started in a village in Muranga, that has built to become a regional bank almost in quite a number of countries, using the stock exchange as a source of capital to finance that trade. And we got very many examples which are very encouraging, and we are hoping that we will see more companies use the stock exchange to raise capital, to enhance their development, not only to build their business in Kenya, but to expand regionally. We now have Safaricom going to Ethiopia, using money that is Kenyan money or Kenyan investors' money, and expanding regionally. So that's quite encouraging. I'm also quite encouraged by the push towards increasing savings. That's been a very important part for me, and to review the pensions law so that it encourages people to save. That encourages, because you have to deal both with the supply side of investment, which is savings, and the demand side. Sorry, the demand side, which is savings, and the supply side, which is the listings and the privatizations. So I think very balanced, very good, very good speech, and I think this represents a renaissance of the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
Excellent.
No, I think today was very encouraging. His Excellency Dr. William Ruto obviously signaled how important the Nairobi Securities Exchange is, the Capital Markets Authority, in his economic plan. And I think we heard the importance of savings, the importance of the privatization process, in order to sort of really rally funds to be able to fund this agenda. And I think that's very encouraging. We heard a lot about digitization and being able to mobilize the funds from across Kenyans, and also to create investment opportunities for Kenyans to participate in the NSE. Rather than it being the preserve of the elite, it should be something where we can buy and sell securities of all kinds, and improve the wealth of Kenyans as we do so. So it was a very encouraging day today.
There you have it, some of the comments from great captains in the industry. I want to leave you with the markets, and see you then as the market gets vibrant once again.